It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 529. Tonight I'm joined by Ammo.
Hello.
Ashgar.
I have many leather-bound books.
Kodra.
Sun's out, guns out.
Damn.
Kodra took mine.
Thalen.
Hi.
I appreciate your sanity, Thalen. So 4-Job Fiesta is happening right now. How are things going?
4-Job Fiesta. This started as usual near the start of June. It runs until the end of August. You have 2.5 months to beat Final Fantasy V using 4 specific jobs for anyone who has not heard of this before. If you listen to this podcast and have not heard of this before, I am very confused. But yeah, hey, whatever.
You missed a couple episodes along the way.
I realized I have not beaten the 4-Job Fiesta in some years. Like, yes, okay, things happened in the past few, but like, I think my last victory was 2018. So this year I decided, I don't feel like leaving it up to luck. Made a donation, grabbed Black Mage, Summoner, Bard, and Samurai. I am beating this year.
Yeah, like if nothing else, you're going to pay to win.
Yeah, I was going to say, I see that you have chosen violence.
Oh, I have chosen incredible violence. It's interesting. Like, I do enjoy having weird classes and having to figure out problems, because I don't think there are any classes, any reasonable class combinations that can't beat the game.
I was about to say, I mean, speedrunners speedrun the game with the most terrible sets of classes imaginable.
Yes. And your random class is probably going to be better than some of the things speedrunners are beating the game with on stream at the start of the Fiesta. So, you know, problems have solutions. But I just wanted at this point I wanted to feel powerful. And man, if you ever want to feel powerful in the first 2/3 of the game, add Black Mage to your class list.
It's so good.
I do have to specify first 2/3 because it hits its peak of power right at the start of World 3. It does not get any better than that through World 3. So it's kind of a shame.
The challenge with Black Mage is it doesn't actually have a ton of the necessary answers I usually have for the questions of how do I beat the last boss.
That's the other thing. It does not have any particularly great things versus Neo Exdeath. But I also have Summoner and Bard on my team, and those two together beat Neo Exdeath.
Yeah, I was about to say, technically, I think Bard and whatever else can beat Neo Exdeath.
You do need something that does an amount of damage.
It doesn't need to be a lot of damage.
It doesn't need to be a lot. Bard can make it a lot, but still.
Like, you need... The other thing you need is, like, you need a way to sustain the early phases so that you can sing long enough to get yourself up to level 255.
Right, but I just said Summoner was there. So
yes, I understand. But also, Black Mage is there, and, I mean, you can always just Faraga yourself.
It's true. You could grab Flame Rings and Faraga yourself. And I don't know if I'm going to be doing that. We'll see.
It must be nice playing Black Mage without the requirement of, I'm going to need to sustain heal with Black Mage.
I mean, none of the other classes I have can sustain heal themselves. Like, they just can't do it. Summoner can pretend later on, but really it's just a ridiculous offensive powerhouse through a chunk of the game.
Do you get Phoenix before Neo Exdeath?
You can.
Because that does a decent job of protecting your team.
The fact that Phoenix reses you with full MP is the most ridiculous nonsense.
Yeah, and this is an MP-starved team. Like, Death is just a Mega Elixir. And you probably have the answer to Almagest in DPSing before Almagest happens. Or no, Divine Cross.
Grand Cross? I mean, you can beat both.
Yeah.
I've done with Summoner and Bard before. You can just beat both. You just spam Bahamut and you win. Don't have to worry about anything Neo might be doing because he just dies. There is one fight I forgot about in between the start and end of the game that has given me problems.
There's 2 fights I could think it could be.
I'm not to the crystals yet, so it's not that one.
Okay. I was going to say X-Death is one.
X-Death is not like Castle X-Death?
Yeah.
Black Mage runs him over.
Sure. Arcavius?
That's the one.
Okay.
I have no real physical offense against a fight basically immune to magic. It ain't great.
I forget that the crystals can be hard for some parties.
The crystals are hard for a lot of parties.
I have so frequently had a death effect for them.
Yes, if you have a death effect in your party or something close enough like Time Mage, it's just kind of really easy. But if you have to rely on damage, the crystals are very hard. They've got a lot of health. They spam attack all spells on the party when they're low on health. And they're immune to a bunch of things you might otherwise want to do, like lightning damage. But yeah.
So where are you?
I am early World 2. Just beat Gilgamesh for the first time.
Good old Greg.
You know what build I've never had, and maybe I'll just donate for this?
What?
The Ranger Ninja. I hear Ranger Ninja's very fun.
It's quite good. I think Ranger by itself is most of the power there, because you don't have 2 chicken knives.
Fair.
I mean, is there something decent you can farm that you can throw for a lot of points?
It's not throwing that's the strong thing.
It's the dual wielding.
Dual wielding with rapid fire, which gives you 8 attacks.
Ah, okay.
Combining this with Spellblade is Bart's Limit Break in the Final Fantasy fighting game. This combination really is that strong.
I've also never done that. That's interesting.
I have had Spellblade Rapid Fire, which is funny because you just got to sort of walk into groups near the end of the game and instant death them with stone a bunch of times. This is another one that's really great until you run right into the final boss.
Yeah.
Where inability to control what you're hitting is problematic.
Yeah, that would make sense. You probably need something to give you more survivability.
There's a surprising amount in just Spellblade because of its auto shell ability.
Oh.
So if you can get low on health and recover from that, you then have shell. But yeah, Forge Out Fiesta. Final Fantasy V is still fun, even after all this time. I am playing the Game Boy Advance version because it's the one I'm used to.
Good one.
Like, I don't know if that remains the best port, but it's a very, very good port.
It's the only one that I have beaten.
The Pixel Remaster does exist at this point. There's a bunch of things that would make this way easier, like the ability to boost skill drops.
Well, sure.
So I'm not sure what sort of thing is going on right now with Steam, but there's some sort of summer event. And with it, there's a bunch of games that have released demos. And there is one that I have been playing around with called Absolum, which is basically what if you took Streets of Rage, mixed it with Hades, and gave it like the Darkest Dungeon art style. And it is kind of great. You basically pick a dark elf that is wielding a 2-handed sword, but light hits by just punching things, or a dwarf that punches things, or heavy hits with like a rolling attack. So you basically have 3 buttons. You have jump, you have a charge dash / evade, you have light hit, you have heavy hit, and then you have a special meter that builds over time that you can unleash a special attack, and then you can also pick things up and throw them. But what's kind of cool about it is it's very much the Hades style of, you finish a thing and then you get to choose one of 2 buffs, and the buffs change your normal abilities slightly. So like the last run that I did, I had Ignite on my light attack, and then if I hit 3 light attacks in a row, I did a little whirlwind that kind of looked like Hagar's twirl attack. But like you could kind of do a re-dizzy combo and lock things up by just constantly going straight into the twirl to where they'd never get an attack off. I mean, right now the game is not out, but the demo is out and it is pretty fun. Especially, I would imagine it would be fun on like a Steam Deck or something like that. I played it with a controller mostly. I'm not sure how you would play it with mouse and keyboard. It is very much a beat 'em up game that would want a controller.
I see this is published by .emu, who's been very good on the beat 'em up renaissance here.
Yep, exactly. Art style is immaculate. Also has hints of Golden Axe in some of the way that the zones are like Golden Axe / D&D beat 'em up game. So like it's got Mystara was the second one, I think, and I forget what the first one was, but there were two.
They were both set in Mystara, but yeah, like but yeah, like it's got kind of those roots. Occasionally you open up towns that allow you to just buy power-ups, so you're gaining gold over time. But yeah, like I think you've got it seemed like you had multiple paths that you could choose from, which is the piece that really reminded me of D&D. Tower of Doom, I think, was the first one. Yeah,
and then
Tower of Doom.
Secrets of Mystara or something like that was the second one.
Something of Mystara, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the only one I played.
Like every time you would put a quarter in the game, it would say, "Welcome to the D&D world. Welcome to the D&D world."
Mm-hmm. Shadow over Mystara.
I played a hell of a lot of that game in the arcade.
Oh yeah, they were great.
That cabinet almost always had 4 people on it. But yeah, like it's got multiplayer. I've not tried multiplayer, but I would imagine it would be good. I'm hoping over time they add additional characters, because it feels like kind of the skill set of the 2 characters they have is a little bit lacking. They're both mostly just martial fighters.
So they're not that interesting or differentiated from each other?
Not really. Like, I mean, this
dwarf looks interesting.
The dwarf feels like it has the best toolkit. The drow basically has like a punch, and that's the light attack, and then a really big arc on the 2-handed sword that they're carrying around on their back. So like, I guess there's more reach on the elf, but like, I don't know, like it didn't feel as good to play the elf as it did to play the dwarf, because the dwarf charge and the dwarf heavy attack, which was also, it had motion in it. Yeah, it felt like you could definitely gap close better on the dwarf.
Bill, did you play Spiritfall at all?
That is not ringing a bell.
Okay. It's another 2D beat 'em up, but it's more, they structured their movement and attacks of Smash Brothers more than anything else.
Okay. Yeah.
So it doesn't play quite like an old school scrolling beat 'em up, but this kind of reminds me of it.
This is very much old school beat 'em up, like not even okay, so the
like almost pre-Streets of Rage.
Well, yeah, because okay, so the thing that I think of when I think of the D&D game or Streets of Rage is that the way the collision worked, or even Castle Crashers, to where you could ease up on a target from above or below on the, so if you think of the plane, there is upfield, downfield, and then left and right. And it feels like your collision is very 2D in that, like, you can't ease up on something from above or below without just being up in their grill. I don't know if that makes any sense.
You have to be sort of horizontally lined up in order.
Yes,
to
exactly. Yeah. So it's not as clean as like even the newest Streets of Rage game is, to where you can ease up from above or below. Because like a lot of what I do on those games is I am taking advantage of the NPCs are pretty much locked to move horizontally. And I can exploit the fact that I can go vertically as well to ease into combat with them. But it didn't feel like I had as much control over that in this game. But it was still fun. Like it was, beat 'em up does translate to the roguelike genre pretty well. And at the price of free, it's well worth checking out.
I am colored incredibly unsurprised that you think, Bell, that dwarves are more fun to play than elves.
Yeah, see, like I knew this would get me, but like just mechanically, the dwarf is more interesting than like the toolkit on the elf doesn't feel like it's complete.
and they don't really have a gap closer other than their charge, but your charge is also your defensive. So I don't know, like it just didn't feel like it was as complete, but it was like a lot of fun. Minecraft Dungeons. Does this mean you have now gotten sucked into that world, Kodra?
I have been sucked in by my son.
Yes.
Minecraft Dungeons. Like, my son is all things Minecraft-ish, although, like, doesn't really play on survival mode, mostly plays on creative mode.
Mm-hmm. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, but Minecraft Dungeons is a little bit less of a, like, Minecraft survival is pretty brutal, actually. Let's be honest. Like, you lose so much progress when you die, and you might just not find it. And, like, the game is actually quite hard, especially the harder stuff in it. I don't know, but it's a wild game. I'll say that. But Minecraft Dungeons is basically an ARPG. It's basically Diablo-like. And it's interesting. It's a Diablo-like, but it's simple. It's like your intrinsic class doesn't have any differentiator to it. You pick a skin, and that's who you are. There's no like classes or anything. That said, all of the gear is randomized because it's a proper Diablo-like. And there are a bunch of different bases, and then there are higher tier versions of those bases that can have some affixes on them, and then all of them have enchantments which you can spend your experience in to unlock like a couple of like you get like the choice of 2 or 3 affixes that you can start investing your experience into. And this leads to a whole bunch of different play styles as you are putting together the best set of gear to do your job. And like, it's a lot of fun to just like grab a controller and like go through a world with like couch co-op and just be like, yeah, we're smashing these zombies. Yeah, let me use, like, I've got a bow that lets me roll and get a supercharge and does a bunch of attacks. So I'm going to sort of like be at range, but also like all of my abilities are harvesting soul, which means when enemies die, I get a resource I can spend on them. And so I'm a soul caster. You can have like pets, and you can have abilities that scale your pets up in damage and scale like your pets attack better when you attack. It's neat. You can have things that like give you benefits when you use artifacts, and then like try and get low cooldown artifacts. There's a whole bunch of different interesting synergies, and it doesn't feel overwhelming. This is like a perfect introduction to the concepts of an ARPG. And just like other proper ARPGs, will scale very, very high. Like, there are, I think, 7 different levels of difficulty that you can ratchet up as you collect more gear.
Yeah, and I like that you can basically like run every zone at a higher difficulty if you want.
Yep.
Just if it's something that you're already familiar with. And you know, because like there are some encounters that are a little bit brutal, especially if you're like pure melee. But the thing that I dig about Dungeons is it has way more personality than the base game.
It has a ton of personality, yes. Well, they've got like you get to throw all of the enemies at people, and so like you get to see the enemies way more. And there's a weird little story because it's still Minecraft, and so the story's got to be weird. You're fighting against the Illager to protect the villagers.
Really?
It sounds entirely normal to me.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the quote-unquote Illager lore came from this game, not Minecraft, and it was later retrofitted into Minecraft.
Perfect. The other cool thing is any character you have, if you level a character, you can just copy that character. So that if you are like level 28 and you want to play with your friend, you can copy your character account. Like and they just have access to your character and all of the gear and all of the levels, and we don't care about like making your friends start back at zero. This is Minecraft ARPG. Please have fun with it. It is the best ARPG for playing with a friend.
I really love that there is a push for games that want you to have fun with them. And I realize that sounds like such a simple statement, but like honestly, it's surprising how many games are like, no, you must
earn this.
Yeah. Like even now. And it's like it doesn't have to be only like just new player stuff, but
I think there is space for that, because I will say, I do think that's part of what like makes Dune fun, is the fact that you feel like you earn the things you get.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Like
sometimes you want a game like that.
No doubt about it.
I just don't think it needs to be the only type of game we make.
Exactly.
And I don't think it should be like I do think that there is like something weird boiled into this, where it's like the real games are the ones where you have to earn you have to feel you earned it. I don't know about that. I feel there's plenty of prestige games that you shouldn't have to require people like be so tall to ride.
Yeah.
Like that.
Sometimes games should just be fun.
I will say I like a game that is probably similar themed. Like I'm having a blast with Cyberpunk 2077, but then I found out that I'm probably having a blast because I'm playing the post incredibly buffed version of it, not the like nerfed version where I would have had to earn all my cool toys.
And whatever. Like I think a lot about Final Fantasy 15 and the fun talent. Like, oh, this is the one that makes the game make sense.
Yep.
But you don't have to take it. The game doesn't make you take it. And it really should.
It really should.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that are fun, I already went and downloaded this Absolum demo. This elf has a bunch of attack canceling stuff that makes it really fun.
Okay. Maybe I just didn't give them long enough.
Basically, you can cancel anything into a dash and cancel anything out of a dash. So you can put together some pretty significant attack.
Okay. So they basically just have more freedom to go in and out of their dashes.
Yep, and their default special attack leads to air combos, a bunch of other fun stuff.
Yeah, dwarf air combos were kind of weak.
I love an air combo.
But like, I do hope additional...
Oh yeah, these characters are way too similar to be the only characters available.
Exactly, like they're both very melee, like, and they keep getting called wizards. So like, maybe there should be some casters, maybe a crossbow person.
You're a muscle wizard.
It worked for Adventure Time.
I never actually saw all of that. Maybe I should.
I've only seen bits and pieces, like as actually it was aired. So at some point I would like to go back and watch the entirety, because it's a great show.
It's really weird how it starts out as just episodic nonsense and slowly develops incredibly deep lore.
Yes. It is a weird world, and I mean, a bunch of things are found out over time.
Speaking of a weird world where things are slowly found out over time, I am kind of sad that I didn't get to watch Gravity Falls as it came out and be like online solving cryptograms that were hidden in every episode. Because I imagine I would have enjoyed that.
I do remember reading about that at the time.
There's so many things that I need to watch. Like I've not watched Owl House, which is a thing I absolutely need to.
It's so good.
All I know about Owl House is Tumblr memes. That's it. Because like it's a irregular occurrence on Tumblr.
I need to start watching Phineas and Ferb. I think that's my next one.
It is a lot of fun. I think the thing I appreciate most about Phineas and Ferb is mostly everybody's just decent to each other. Like when there's conflict, it's usually not. I mean, there's obviously Doofenshmirtz, but even Doofenshmirtz is...
Yeah, like even Doofenshmirtz isn't awful.
He is a very sympathetic antagonist in a lot of ways.
I mean, there is Candace, but the rule of the show is Candace always fails.
Right. And, well, and that's the thing. A couple of times, Candace only fails because she does it on purpose.
Oh, I haven't gotten to that.
Yeah. Like the episode that made my child have to come and talk to us and, break down in tears.
No.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But
we were definitely close to that at the end of the Gravity Falls, which we finished up 2 nights ago.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Anyways, I think we were talking about Minecraft Dungeons and went on.
We were, and we just kind of went off.
But yeah. Minecraft Dungeons, really great co-op ARPG, especially for somebody who want to introduce to the concept of a Diablo-style game.
Yeah, I appreciate the simplicity, but also the depth that can be had within it.
Yes.
That's the real sauce.
Yes, it is it's like, oh, I have constructed the moment where I was like, oh, I've built a very specific, unique character with specific goals I'm trying to achieve, even though this game is still rather simple. I'm still chasing gear.
Drops are still fun.
Drops are fun. One of the things I don't think they tutorialize well enough is that when you salvage items, you get all of the XP you invested in it back.
That's a thing that's good to know.
It is a thing that's good to know.
Because then it means that you just upgrade your items.
Yes.
Yeah, I always appreciate A, when a game just lets me get back everything that I put into a thing, and B, that it lets me know this.
I feel like it did not do a good enough job at letting me know I could do it, but it does let you do that, which is sweet.
So Ash, you've returned to Guild Wars 1?
I have, at least temporarily. Part of this is looking at my Ranger's pet list in Guild Wars 2 and being sad about it. That happens every so often. And part of this is just, there's a bunch of things in Guild Wars 1 that I never finished. I have a Mesmer who got through pretty much all of Nightfall, but I've never played through more than Start of Factions or Prophecies. I'm not sure I'm ever going to play through more of the Start of Prophecies.
Keep trying.
The world really does go to shit.
Well, it's not even that. It's not the aesthetics, although they're not great. It's that really the quest structure and the skill. Guild Wars 1, the initial release, did not let you play around with its incredibly cool skill system until quote-unquote endgame. So Prophecies doles out skills very slowly. You get very few options in how to do things. And that's really what keeps me from playing more of it.
Yeah.
Whereas Nightfall and Factions are like, hey, here's a skill trainer. Figure it out.
I will say, after having listened to you and Tam playing this the other night, it seems like you should play this with a wiki open.
Yes, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I heard Tam talking about was basically the path he was being told to go was not impassable, but for all intents and purposes, impassable. And that's because there was a quest he also had in his quest log that was making it impassable.
Yeah, it was not clear to me that additional stuff spawns based on what quests you're on. So if you just take every quest, this is what I do. You walk into unbeatable areas.
They were better at not doing this after the initial campaign.
I'm glad lessons were learned. This definitely feels like something that should have been tutorialized somehow.
Man, this is what happens when you make effectively 3 separate games and assume it'll sort itself out.
So what are you playing, Ash?
Mostly I'm playing a Ranger, but with Tam, I started a Necromancer and a Paragon.
I don't remember what I was playing about a year and a half ago when I fired it back up. I was playing through Factions.
I have to say one of the most interesting classes is faction specific, and that's Ritualist. It is. So if you ever wondered why turrets in Guild Wars 2 are so bad, you can blame a Ritualist in Guild Wars 1.
Neat. I will. Turrets in
the
Guild
class
Wars 2 are very bad.
Entirely about summoning spirits, which are entities that act for you. And it is a very, very strong class.
I find it funny that while turrets are also doing that, probably the most busted engineer right now is also something that has an entity that acts for you.
Yeah, because after a number of years, they decided maybe they wanted it to be okay.
Maybe engineers should have some way to, be good while acting like an engineer.
There was ways to be good as an engineer, and be extremely effective.
And not hitting you, and not hitting 50 billion buttons.
Oh no, that was definitely a requirement. Because yes,
having a big robot thing that hits things for you, like that's one of the classic engineer class fantasies. So
it's really funny because, like, on some level, I think there is a classic engineer fantasy, which is like, I have a tool for everything.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's 100% what, like, having 5 kits lets you do. It's also still just miserable to play. Like, it turns out if you have 3 times as many buttons as any other class in the game, like, there's some pretty powerful flexibility in that kit.
I don't know. Weaver would like to talk to you about that.
Oh.
Weaver did not have more buttons than a full kit engineer.
God, it sure as hell seems like it.
Have you played a full kit engineer build?
No.
While true. Like,
no, I only ever played one kit at a time.
Also, my actual experience of playing Weaver was more that you sort of do things in an order that meant you don't need to actually know what all 27 whatever abilities you have actually do.
It's true. Yes. Like that part is absolutely true. You don't actually need to care.
I don't know. I did a very lazy core engineer where I basically had turrets and also pistols, and I would probably run a single kit, but that was it.
I mean, what you just described is basically what I'm running right now, but I have a big green robot, and it's great.
Right. Yeah, like, if only the turrets floated. Oh, wait, there's a robot for that.
I have a big green robot. I have 1 kit, which is grenades, and then I have 2 pistols. This is a totally reasonable and fun build.
Like, as soon as I could do that, I did that on my engineer. I world versus world my way to being able to spec engineer.
It's a fantastic robot.
I should check out Ritualist, I guess, if I'm going to play.
The problem with Ritualist is that it cannot start in the most beginner-friendly campaign.
Which is Darkness?
Nightfall, yeah.
Yeah, that is by far the best of them. I had forgotten whether or not Factions was any good, and that was why I started it. But, like, really, the answer is play Nightfall.
Factions is shorter than Prophecies. Everything is shorter than Prophecies. And it's even shorter than Nightfall. But it is hard to start it because, while it gives you access to skill trainers, it doesn't tell you why you might want to use them. It does not, like, all of its bonus objectives are speedrun objectives. It's a little difficult to start in.
Are all of these, like, how far do the various starts get you into the game? And do they all converge at some point?
They all converge into Eye of the North.
So they sort of converge into Eye of the North, which is a 4th campaign. You can't start in that one. But that one is designed for level 20 characters, although it will let you play it at level 10 with some buffs to your character. And they sort of all converge into that. Eye of the North does lead directly into stuff in Guild Wars 2.
But isn't it
it's
about
the most familiar stuff?
Isn't it about level 10 that you can swap over to join friends in a different campaign?
It depends. You can, but usually I think this campaign join-up points are mostly around level 20. So you should probably be max level before you do it.
For some reason I was thinking that you can get to
20.
Okay.
It's 20. It doesn't take that long to get there unless you're playing Prophecies.
That island place that I can't ever remember the name of, that about 10, and I thought you could swap places at that point.
So you can enter the other areas as soon as you can get to either Lion's Arch or Koenig Center, which are things you can do at around level 10, but you're not supposed to do until level 20.
Okay.
Except in Prophecies, which you absolutely cannot do as early as level 10.
In Prophecies, you can theoretically get there as early as level 4. You just need help. Solo, you definitely can't do it until level 20. Again, they learned some things after the first one, because the point at which you can join up with the other campaigns is usually a part of the story that expects you to be level 20, about a third of the way in. And yes, you're max level about a third of the way in to any of the campaigns.
Oh, neat. Yeah. So if you're max level, like, is the progression of the game gear, skills? Like, what is driving you forward in this?
Skills, particularly elite skills, are things you have to get from killing bosses in particular areas of the world. So those are a major part of progression. Gear is less of a thing. You can have like sort of maxed out armor very early.
Gear feels very generic.
Gear's pretty generic for a long time. Gear's not so much a progression. Random drops are also kind of a thing. There just isn't a ton of vertical progression after you hit level 20.
Which is kind of common with Guild Wars 2, right? Like, it's level 80 is where the vertical progression stops.
Mm-hmm.
Which was the end of the original campaign.
Yeah.
It's just not the end of the current game.
Right. Well, I mean, by now, you're going to hit level 80 well before you probably finish the main story.
Oh, absolutely.
Fair.
Okay, so what is Persona 5 The Phantom X? Because I saw this the other day.
This is the mobile game.
Yeah, this just came out a couple of days ago. It's the new Persona game, and it's Persona 5 with gacha mechanics. And it's like, I don't know how egregious the monetization is going to get. I have no idea. Like, you clearly can whale because it's free to play, mobile game. Of course you can. But so far, it's pretty fun. It looks and sounds and feels like Persona 5. You have your main character who is not Joker, and his mascot friend who is not Mona, who is an owl. And like the game starts with you having a dream in which you are at the casino during the intro cutscene of Persona 5 and have a fight with Joker. And it's still unclear whether this is like an alternate reality or a different timeline or just the future or the past. The first event is one in which you do meet up with the Phantom Thieves from Persona 5, and they're not sure what's going on either. It's all very confusing, but it's an entertaining Persona game. Like, it plays exactly like Persona 5, just you have to use gachas to get better gear and more characters for your party. So, but like, without spending any money, I've got about a dozen people that I can use. The new characters are great. The first one you get during the story is Closer. She is a baseball player. I love her. The first treasure you're trying to steal is the property of a washed-up baseball player who blames her for his fall because, that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do for an adult human to do. Blame a child for their failures.
Mm-hmm.
So, so similar to the first bad guy in Persona 5, but different. Still creepy and misogynistic, but not as extreme so far. But yeah, it's fun. I recommend at least, trying it out if you enjoyed Persona 5.
You're definitely excited to smash this person in the face?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I will vastly enjoy finally stealing his heart and making him regret his decisions.
I have not had a chance to try it out yet, but I am definitely interested in doing so.
I assume mobile platforms?
Yes, it's also on Steam.
Yeah, it's on Steam.
It is very much designed as a mobile game, though. So, the controls work fine on Steam, but it takes a little getting used to.
Can you play the same account on mobile and on Steam?
You can. You link it to your Google account.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I am still playing a lot of AFK Journey. Mm-hmm. That is the one that has sucked me in recently, and I am also playing it entirely free and happy that I can pretty much do anything that I want to do without paying any money.
Yeah. So at least so far, Like, they're very much going with like the Genshin style of how the monetization works with regards to your character development and so forth. Like, playing the actual story, you can just play it. The stamina mechanic is entirely for particular things where you go in and have a fight and then can get some loot, just like in Genshin.
Okay, cool.
And then there's a second, there's an action point currency that like you get 5 action points per day, I think. And that's what you use for the stuff in the real world during the day, like going and working out at the gym or, playing arcade games or what have you, since there's not the time crunch that there is in a normal Persona game. Today is just today. It's not a specific day. So.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there still like social links like a Persona game?
Yes. Yeah, I've encountered a couple of them so far. I have bonds. I have links with Igor's assistant, who in this game is Merope. That's who you talk to get new characters and such, and who also handles the persona fusions and all of that stuff for you. She ties 2 personas up and throws them in a hole, and a different one comes out. So
that sounds
pretty
about
normal. Right. Also interesting. Like, seems like it's the real Igor, just based on the voice. So yeah,
interesting.
So it's not dealing with that whole thing. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on. Also, he talks like me having the wild card is unique, but Joker exists. I've met him. So yeah.
I mean,
there's strange things going on.
It's confusing who has the wild card, because the protagonist of the previous games also had it.
Yeah, they say technically
sometimes exist in the same universe.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's theoretically possible maybe Joker doesn't have the wild card anymore. Maybe this is taking place after. The event is definitely taking place after the original team beat Kagoshima, because they've talked about having, about his castle, and because you end up you and some of them end up in a castle that's like a weird combination of Kagoshima and your first bad guys. So
yeah, I definitely think I'm going to be checking that out next week. I'm very curious.
So I was the only person playing the Mercenaries League in Path of Exile, but recently Kodra has joined me.
Yay!
And you are playing EA Ballista?
I'm playing EA Ballista, Explosive Arrow Ballista, which is fun. Frankly, I probably should have played this before. I drop devices down on the ground and then mostly dodge mechanics while explosions happen, which, that seems like a fun thing.
Yeah, it's one of the builds that I've enjoyed a lot over the years.
So and it's very interesting because with most builds that are good in Path of Exile, it takes a certain amount of getting your mind wrapped around certain things. I have to start thinking about how I am supposed to be trying to acquire a bow, because I am a bow-based build. I am using bow attacks, which matters, but I don't care about any of the damage my bow attacks deal.
Correct.
I just care about the explosive arrows.
Yes, your bow is a stat stick.
My bow is a stat stick. And the most important stat, I think, is
attack speed.
Yep. Because you got to get enough fuses.
Because I'm trying to stack up enough fuses. And then I care about damage over time, because I'm really just trying to get an ignite.
And you also, I don't know if the current version of the build does this or if not, but basically you're also looking for anything but fire damage on your weapon. Because if you have fire damage, it will brick.
That's more for Elementalist.
I don't know. Champ was that way too, because you were taking that one ability that I forget what it's called, where you want the initial hit to debuff the target against all other elements.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then the explosion happens, and you want it debuffed against fire damage, so you don't want any fire damage to be dealt initially. Equilibrium, elemental equilibrium. Like that's an ability that you take at some point, but once you have that, you have to make sure you have no fire damage on any of your gear.
Where is that? I don't actually think I'm taking that.
Maybe it's no longer in the build.
Where is equilibrium?
It is Keystone notable just to the right of the mercenary start.
Oh, yeah, you are taking that.
Hits that deal elemental damage, remove exposure to those elements, and inflict the other types. So basically, you want to do cold or lightning, and then your explosion happens, and it's weak against fire. And it does the maximum amount of damage it can.
Interesting. Okay, good to know. Good to know. It's actually kind of a challenge because that means the current bow I'm using, which is Quill Rain, which I'm pretty sure they recommend because of the ridiculous attack speed.
Yes.
Isn't going to work because I need to, and so that's probably where I need to get a bow with good attack speed and some non-fire elemental damage.
Yeah. And that's so in the guild, I think you've already grabbed it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I crafted that with no fire damage on it.
Oh, yeah, and it does have the level of socketed bow skill gems, so I definitely want to try and figure out how I can get this colored right, which is going to be annoying.
I mean, if you need chromes, I have plenty of chromes.
I might need chromes. We'll see. I'll tell you. Anyways, yes, I am playing this. It's always a challenge because, this game definitely, even this is a league start build. This is going to get you, through the Atlas. Boy, this is this is a nice, straightforward, simple build. Boy, it's still confusing as heck.
Yeah, that's kind of the challenge of this game in general, is most of the quote-unquote best builds are utilizing some quirk of the system to function. Like Righteous Fire, for example, is designed to be a buff. Like it's supposed to be a buff that spellcasters take to buff the damage they deal with other spells. But
I have included it in an actual build for this actual purpose.
It's a common thing that people put into other builds, but you can absolutely use it as a clear skill. Explosive Arrow Ballista. Like Explosive Arrow is kind of supposed to be, I think, a main self-cast ability that you're using, but generally speaking, if you can make it a totem or if you can make it a mine or a trap, that's how you want to do it, or a brand. It's bizarre. Nothing is really straightforward. But as far as builds go, that one can arrive at a high level of tankiness and also quite a lot of damage. And also you're free to plant totems and run around and avoid mechanics without really having to worry about, you're stopping damage, because your totems are going to deal damage for you.
Yeah, and I appreciate all of the ideas that go into this build. And I'm having fun because I want to get better at boss mechanics. A build that is a little this is the most passive build I've ever played though. And that's kind of weird. I kind of feel, because I am not, the way I deal damage is drop totems and then wait.
I mean, previously you kind of wanted to one-shot things, which was a different kind of build.
I mean, I was doing big amounts of damage with mines, but it was still I am throwing mines, and what I was getting out of that was an incredible range, right? I could drop mines to the edge of the screen, detonate them, and get things off of the screen.
Yeah.
But at least I was throwing my mines in a direction. Now I'm just sort of drop totems and wait for them to deal the damage. But
probably the only really annoying thing about EA Ballistas is that you have to go back and loot, because the loot will fall back where the totems actually killed it, which is probably a screen away from where you're at.
Yes. It's definitely a run through a map and then sort of double back and grab all of the loot on the way out.
I mean, but the thing that I like about Champion is that it, gets the fortitude so that once you take your fortitude stacks and have a decent amount of evasion and armor both, you feel pretty sturdy and can kind of take a hit. So you have enough to I don't know, kind of adjust to things as they're going without really worrying about taking, one shots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel pretty sturdy right now with the 20 fortifications. It's weird because I haven't really invested a ton into defenses in the tree, I feel like.
Yeah, but 20 fortification stacks is a lot of defense.
Yes,
just in itself. Like, that is a thing that most other ascendancies just don't have out of the box. And I don't know what you're running for a belt, but if you can run Perseverance, it is amazing.
Understanding that, I thought I had to, even end game is Dyadi and Dawn, right?
It is, but that's a choice. I have run it with, and I have run it without. I have been trying to get you the gem that you're going to want and not had any luck, because I think
is that the unnatural instinct?
No, it's like Rain of Splinters or
yeah, it's funny because I easiest gem imaginable. I was just corrupting maybe I think I corrupted one column of gems and got one.
Okay, good.
Not this league.
This league.
Okay.
My luck only works when I don't know what the odds are.
Okay, yeah. Normally, by now, I will have corrupted one just in passing. But no, I've just started corrupting them because I was holding on to every Val I had until I finished out my Atlas, and then I started corrupting things, and I've just not run into one yet.
Apparently, Unnatural Instinct is a gem on Zizaran's guide.
So Unnatural Instinct, I think, is how you're going to get Element, Ailment, Immune, if I remember correctly.
Interesting. It just gives you more passives, effectively.
Okay, no, never mind. That's the wrong gem. I'm thinking of something else. I don't remember how.
Storm Shroud?
I think Storm Shroud is what I'm thinking of. Well, there's two. There's Storm Shroud, and then there's Ancestral whatever. And Ancestral whatever gives you 50% avoidance if you've got 100% spell suppression. And a lot of times you're going for 100% spell suppression on EA Ballista.
Yeah, I do think, but you're getting most of it from gear?
Right. You're needing specific bases to get your spell suppression up.
Well, and it's all of the bases, specific bases. I need the armor evasion bases.
Right.
That's what I need for everything.
I need to look up and see what the high-end armor evasion bases are, because since I'm delving down around 200, I'm getting nothing but level 85 bases, so I can start cherry-picking bases for you to craft on.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm a ways away from all of that. I'm having fun. We're gonna see. I just finally got my 6 link in here, so we'll see how that goes. I will say, getting the colors you want on that 6 link are gonna be a nightmare. I got close, and I'm gonna stop.
Out of curiosity, what color? What colors?
It's a bow, and they want 3 red, 2 blue, 1 green.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
correct.
Your best is probably to do the 25 chrome to red and hope that you get the rest of it through there.
Yep.
Because red is the rarest on that base.
I mean, it's just a dex requirement, right?
Yeah, for whatever reason, like
then that means blue and red are 10% chance on each one.
Yep.
Okay, so you say that.
You need 3 red.
Yeah, you say that, but for whatever reason, I seem to be able to get blues easier on pure dex bases than I can reds. I mean, technically you can do 2 red, 1 blue, but that's really expensive. I don't remember how expensive that is, but it's way more than 25 chromes. And I just chunked 1,000 chromes in the bank. So you should be good for a bit.
Oh, hilarious. I didn't. Quality of life improvement. You can just go to the Rogue Harbor now. That's nice.
Yes, that changed this match.
Yep. Once you have unlocked it, you just have access from that point on.
You don't need to spend a token every time and get one out of your freaking bank.
Yep. That's nice. That's appreciated.
And they've also got just a town icon on the sidebar as well, so you don't have to go find the town in the map. I don't know. Like I am crafting a lot more stuff this league than I normally do, and I crafted a pretty cracked helmet through recombination, and my goodness, recombination is way better than I ever gave it credit for. And like,
why is that?
So like, it seems to be really good at getting rare rolls on the same item. So like if you have, so for my case, I couldn't seem to get, okay. So like one of the things that I was building was Elder Helms, and I've crafted several of them trying for the ideal one. And so Elder is an influence type for, the people who don't speak this gibberish. And one of the things you can do with an Elder Helm is you can put level 20 support gems as rolls on the helmet, making what they call a pseudo helmet, so that you can make a 6-link helm through having 2 of these level 20 supports that are rolled as an affix and a prefix on, or prefix and a suffix on your helmet. And I could roll 20 burning damage or 20 concentrated effect, but I never could get 20/20 out of my rolls. And I've thrown so many fossils at this. I've thrown so much harvest juice at this, and I never could craft on the Giant Slayer Helm base, which is the highest armor base that you can get. I just couldn't get them both on the same one. So what I did as like a YOLO Hail Mary is I threw one that had 20 burning damage, 16 concentrated effect, one that had 20 concentrated effect, 16 burning damage, and one of them had a 20% life regen roll on it. And I threw them both in the thing, and it gave me an Elder Helm with 20/20 and life regen, because those were the 3 rarest stats that were on the items, and it seemed to pick all of them. I've also made like a scepter that has damage over time multi and fire damage over time multi on the same weapon, and that was pretty easy to throw together.
Okay, I guess I can see it.
We call this spell luck, though.
Well,
to just randomly get the best 2 things on the first try.
I guess I can see it in that, like, if you get a helm with a rare affix, like, it's unlikely that you're gonna roll the second rare affix you need, but you might roll a second helm with the other rare affix, and
yes.
like usually that's bad, but now you can recombinate them and hope and like have a chance at getting the god tier.
Right.
And that's probably a faster way of getting that double affix type.
Right. Yeah, because like you can alt spam to get the one thing that you really need, and then alt spam on another item to get the thing that you really need, and throw those together and hope it works out. And
do they have to? Can they be both magic, or do they have to be rare? Do you have to regal them?
I think they have to be rare, but regals also seem to be way more common than they used to be.
Also, that's a good justification for why we have to have regals.
Right.
Like, I don't hate that idea.
Yeah, like, so it's, you can incrementally work your way towards an item through recombination now, and it feels better than just throwing infinite harvest juice or infinite essences or infinite delve items, recombinators at the item, hoping that you hit correctly. They seem real good.
I am still sad that my beloved Hex Blast Mines is gone.
Yeah, and that one seems so weird to me, why they literally just nuked it from orbit, because it is not even it does not exist in any form.
No,
but they made the skill not usable.
Yeah,
not
it's just
usable
gone.
in mines. I don't.
No, they made the skill not usable.
I was about to
it's
say,
just
is
gone.
anyone casting Hex Blast?
No, it's just gone.
Why would you?
It is so dead.
It's a spell with a cooldown and a condition. Why?
I mean, it does have big number on it. Maybe can you somehow figure out how to make number big enough? I don't know. They probably don't know either, but maybe they hope somebody will figure out something broken with it, and that'll be cool.
They didn't make the numbers much bigger. Like, Hex Blast of Contradiction was already a thing. That had big numbers on it before, and people were using it.
People were definitely not using that.
No,
they weren't. I don't know. Like, again, it doesn't feel like they have any ideas for like what a intuitive build should be. They threw a bunch of stuff out here. They figured people would break it in half, and then they tuned the material, the combat for the most broken stuff.
Well, and sometimes they roll it back in another league, because, for example, like, the champion that you were playing did
not exist last patch.
Yeah, was deemed dead in the water last patch. Because, so for years, the default amount of fortification that you had on a champion was 20 stacks, and you could get permanent 20 stacks.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great. And then in 3.25, for whatever reason, they decided, no, we're just going to make it 15. So you couldn't get higher than 15 as permanent stacks. And that felt bad. And that kind of killed the class for a lot of people to build around. So there was an immediate death of all champions last league.
I think was one of the least popular. Like, it was less popular than Berserker last league.
Yeah, no, it was dead. And then they came back, and now they made it more powerful than it's ever been, because you get max fortification. Okay, so you have 20 fortification stacks by default on a champion, but your permanent fortification stacks now are based on whatever your maximum fortification is for your character.
A number you can get much higher than 20, because I've done this on a Berserker before.
Yeah, like there's a 60 div pair of gloves that you can get plus 10 fortification on a glove slot. I think you can get it up around 40 or more.
Yes, I did see, like, I was looking at this because one of my questions was, like, right now they recommend you anoint watchtowers, because one of the things that seems to be the theme of this build is if we could somehow save a passive point somewhere, there's always a better place to put a passive point. So the way they recommend you anoint is to anoint watchtowers to save a bunch of passive points.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, why don't I just, like, would it not make sense to anoint the +3 max fortifications and health regen based on fortifications?
Yeah, that seems like a perfectly cromulent option.
It does seem like a perfectly reasonable option.
Watchtower is a lot of damage.
Watchtower is, well, but I can get to Watchtower just naturally.
It's just anything you take on the way actually useful? Because isn't it like attack damage?
Yes.
Increased attack damage?
Life, spell suppression.
Fair enough. But the attack damage doesn't do anything.
Totem damage and totem placement speed. So does totem damage not count?
It does.
Totem damage works. I thought this was one of the things that specifically had attack damage. Maybe I'm thinking of the other one.
Oh, it's all increased totem damage.
Fair enough.
But yeah, like, I don't know. This is a fun build. It is, again, like my complaints about Path of Exile being an unintuitive pile of systems still is like always gonna hold. Like, this game does not want you to figure out how it works. It wants you to read somebody who spent hours researching how it worked.
But mercs are still super fun.
Mercs are fun.
Now that I have in-game mercs, they're very good. Like, I am running a sniper, but I am doing a bunch of things to make my sniper freeze things.
That makes sense. That's true. Like, I'm gonna miss the fact that I don't have a great way of freezing things in place anymore.
Yeah, like I have, for whatever reason, like I've tried mini shot, which is the eye shot whatever template. But for whatever reason, geared correctly, sniper, which is just baseline physical damage, seems to do the best job of applying ailments when I give it an elemental bow. Because I've got like a 1200 elemental DPS bow on my sniper right now, and it is just nonsense.
And presumably this gear does not go away if your character dies?
No, it doesn't.
That's good.
And if you find a different skill set that you want to keep, so long as it's items that you gave the mercenary, you can take them back.
Did they fix this with Animate Guardian as well?
Yes, Animate Guardian works the exact same way.
That's nice.
But Animate Guardian is now limited in the same manner that mercenaries are. So if a mercenary dies in a map, you can't get the mercenary back for that map. If an Animate Guardian dies in a map, I don't know that you can get it back. I mean, it may be that you can't get it back without going back to your hideout, which is probably fine, because if it died, you're probably dying too. But there is some, like, I've not played with an Animate Guardian since this went live.
Animate Guardian gear was probably crazy expensive this patch because they're putting it on their mercs.
Yeah, sort of, but not. Like, Learcast is really the only thing from the traditional Animate Guardian loadout that anybody's using on their merc. Because Gruthkul's Pelt doesn't work with mercs because they can't use spells when you throw it on them, which is weird. So a lot of these things
that's what it's supposed to do.
I mean, yeah, but you also want the damage for these stupid things.
Yes.
They count as half of a person for difficulty scaling.
Yeah, Animate Guardian doesn't, so that makes more sense.
Yeah, because like bosses do 50% more damage and have 50% more health. So that merc better be doing at least 50% worth of good. Though throwing Learcast on it, I think, is just increasing the damage by 50%.
They do 50% more damage as well?
No, they don't do more damage. Don't do that much more damage.
No, they're scaled as half of a person.
I thought
whatever
it was
that
a quarter
means.
of a person.
Maybe. Unique monster is 50% more life, but it does. I don't see where it says what it does for damage. So anyway, it's more than without the merc. So I mean, they need to do some amount of damage or buff you an amount to make up for it.
Makes sense. I mean, multiplayer scaling does not generally add more monster damage, just a lot more monster life.
The Chevron's negative lightning damage thing is what lots of people are running on mercs.
So why does this not cause them to instantly die?
Because mercs, for whatever reason, are way tankier than you think they're going to be. And they don't really care about resistances.
That's really funny.
So yeah, you can get maximum negative resistance for lightning damage on your merc, and then do all the lightning damage. Granted, this only works for specific skills that can either be either natively.
I mean, it works for any physical skill that can be converted to lightning.
Right, like phys skills can be converted to lightning, or if you natively do lightning damage.
I mean, also Call of the Brotherhood. No, sorry, Call of the Brotherhood is the other way around. Lightning is lightning cold.
Yeah. Anyway, it's silly amounts of damage if you can somehow do lightning damage. I mean, but you can also make your mercs do a thing that you don't want to do yourself. For example, I have a strength-based merc that I leave in my stable of mercs for bossing only so that I don't have to keep up endurance stacks on myself. It's going to keep doing enduring shout or whatever and giving me endurance stacks.
Have you felt like this game has... I feel like this game is juicier than I remember it being during leveling.
Yes. I got chaos, my first chaos in Act 2, and I got several chaos in Act 2. Also, especially once you count in currency you can steal from mercs. Yeah, no, I feel like I'm getting way more just currency than I used to.
I had by like, I want to say Act 7, 10 chaos and a div.
Yeah.
I was saying, I think this is because they have their own super hardcore game, which is PoE 2, and so they feel comfortable letting people have fun with this game now.
I hope that's the case. I'm on board with this. I do wish they gave us access to King's March earlier. Like, you don't get it until you've finished the campaign, but like it's fully built, so you don't have to build it anymore. You just have to hire people and staff the machinery. But you can put the Recombinator in your hideout now. Anyway, it's pretty good league. I'm enjoying it. I'm glad to see you're mostly enjoying EA Ballista.
Yeah, I am. I am in Act 10, and I've gotten my 3rd lab done.
Cool. I threw some of the tokens for 4th lab. Whenever you feel you're ready for that. Anyway, any final thoughts, topics anybody has?
One thing I did remember about Minecraft Dungeons that I don't know if we talked about. I feel like its maps, its levels are just slightly too long.
Yes,
like,
they are.
they take about 30 minutes to clear a map.
That's quite some time for a game like this.
That's a bit more of an investment than I was ready for when I was like, this is a map. I should be done in 10 minutes.
Well, that's really short. Like, PoE maps are actually really short.
Fair.
Yeah, coming from like getting used to PoE 2 sized maps, PoE 1 maps feel real short.
I mean, it's going to be important if you expect me to do 115 of them.
One annoyance this time is they changed Remarkable Realms how it works. So instead of needing specific maps for unique maps, you need 40 unique maps.
That feels less awful.
I mean, it feels like, okay, so
I don't need a Dorani's.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to be gating this super expensive map, but also you just need to basically run every unique map that you get as a drop because you need 40 of them.
Yeah, but I don't have to get a Dorani's invite.
Well, it sucks for me because that used to be a decent profit center for me. Because I used to be able to sell those for, I don't know, multiple divs.
See,
and now they're mostly worthless.
Yeah, down with the rich.
I guess.
I mean, now they're good for what? The unique pair of boots you get? What?
I guess. Yeah, like that's the only thing that's of note that's there. Yeah, do you want to craft a specific element of a thing?
I, for one, am glad to see extremely rare, expensive consumables being pushed off of the challenges table.
Yeah, me too, honestly, overall. I just wish, because you only had to do, like 16 of them previously. I wish they had just replaced it with, 16 instead of 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, 40 is a bit of a lot. 40
is a lot.
How many times did you want to do the pillars?
0?
Zero, and now I can.
Well, you still need it for your 115.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
The ones that are actually on the map are still on the map. So, okay,
Those
one thing that's
not be the rarest ones.
One thing that's interesting that's come out is Curak missions are way better than they used to be because all of the things that used to be Curak memories are now just things that can roll as missions on his table.
Dope.
So, Curak's Memory of Harvest Beasts, where you get all the rare harvest beasts, That's just a thing you can roll. So as a result, scouting reports are actually have some value because people want them to try and roll the rare missions.
This is fine. This is great. Because otherwise, those were also incredibly rare drops that were overpriced.
Exactly. Like now you can do the thing. You can actually do the thing.
Oh man, I'm just like, I went really hard in one league and got to 35 challenges completed, and the last couple was just like, do you want to spend 20 div to do this challenge? Yes, okay, I have got 20 div to spend, because it's not like I'm naturally gonna get one of these items to drop. And I do think doing challenges in this game is actually fun. That's one of the things I like the most about these leagues, because it gives me another way to orient the direction of what I am playing. It gives me a goal to achieve. And when I have a goal to achieve, it's a lot easier for me to be like, how do I make incremental steps to achieving this goal? Now, and that's where I think both of those things are going to make it a lot more possible to be like, well, I'm going to eventually achieve this goal, as opposed to previously where it's like, I have to interact with the trade league. And interacting with the trade league late into the league is not necessarily fun.
The best thing that they did for me personally as a quality of life is they added Elder and Shaper exalted orbs this league that can drop from either of those bosses, so that if you want to make an Elder Helm or a Shaper Shield, things that I desperately want for my build, I just buy one of those exalts for 10 chaos off of the trading post and throw it on whatever base I want to throw it on. And boom, I have an Elder Helm that I can start working on crafting, or a Shaper Shield that I can start working on crafting. That was super nice, because that was one of the most annoying things, is that I had to go find someone that just happened to get a Shaper Shield base that I could buy off of them, or an Elder Helm base that I could buy off of them. And now I'm self-sufficient. Well, self-sufficient through the automated trading system. I mean, the call within the community to make everything work like the trading post is getting louder and louder. This game would benefit infinitely by that. Because at this point, we're 2 weeks in, roughly, a little bit over. Do you know how hard it is to find anything for 2 or 3C? No one's going to stop what they're doing to sell it to you. They're posted, but nobody's actually going to physically stop what they're doing. You kind of hope you find a bot, because they'll sell anything.
Is botting legal in this game?
No,
but they exist.
Okay, because I've definitely encountered what feels like definitely bots. And
yes.
It's like, how did you immediately put all 125 chaos into the trade, at the same time?
Well, there is a way to put it in your inventory and then move it all from your inventory.
Yeah.
Is there? Okay.
Yes.
But there are absolutely bots. That is a thing. There are trade bots that answer tells, invite to parties, automate the trade. That is a thing.
Neat.
And honestly, they're some of the smoothest interactions I've ever had.
It's almost like having an automated trading system would be good for this game.
Yeah, if you see a player selling an item with Chinese characters in their name, go for them. Just saying, you'll probably get them to sell it to you really quickly. It'll be an easy trade. Or sometimes I just scroll down to the person selling the 2 chaos item for 20 chaos, because I might actually get a response from them. Anyway, I'm not bitter or anything.
Perish the thought.
Any other final thoughts before we wrap it up? Okay, well, hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we will see you again next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See you.